Welcome to Overwatch and welcome to Coffee Break. I am OneAmongstMany. I have my coffee. Hopefully you've got a beverage of your own choice. We're going to sit down and we're going to have a chat about a heavy topic today. Probably a heavier topic than a lot of what Coffee Time is going to be about overall, but it's sort of the current zeitgeist, it's the current air floating around in Overwatch. It's what people are discussing quite a lot, which is, at least in my mind, it all boils down to this: is ranked a right or is it a privilege? Now, I'm going to open up by saying that I fall very heavily down on the side that ranked is a privilege, not a right, and then we're going to explain. So let's preface, let's go back to where the story begins. Our story begins in beta, back when quick play was the only thing that you could actually do. And so people treated quick play quite seriously. You had the people that didn't because, you know, whatever, lol, there's no matchmaking. But when you started getting to the higher MMR, the higher end of quick play, such as it was, you actually did see people start taking it very seriously. And I mean, this is where, like, back in the beta, the sample size and the skill levels were kind of condensed. So, you know, this is where the pros were. And this is where the people who are playing at the highest levels were. And it was very, very kind of serious almost. It was basically what you would see in Ranked today. And then Ranked did get introduced towards the end of the beta, and it was treated, like, very, very seriously because people wanted to get as high a rank as possible, and people wanted to see how they could do, how they measured up, all that kind of stuff. Then as the seasons went on, as Ranked got introduced onto Live, and, you know, Season 1, everyone wanted to see, okay, well, this is Ranked, I want to see how far I can get, and took it really seriously. And then Season 2 came in, people taking it a little bit less seriously, maybe starting up an alternate account. And then Season 3 came in, and taking it even less seriously, maybe another alternate account where they just play Hanzo. And then Season 4, and then Season 5, and then Season 6. And now we're in the situation where we're in now, where it feels like when you join a team in Ranked, each player has a very different idea of what Ranked is for, and that causes, to me, the fundamental issue and why there's so many problems in Ranked at the moment is because all 6 players seem to have different ideas about what is acceptable and what isn't acceptable. And so the basic gist is this. Let's say you got player A, B, C, D, E, F. I think that works out. Yes, it does. So player A, he insta-locks Mercy, he just wants to play Mercy, and he just plays Mercy all day, and that's all he does. He has no other playtime in any other hero. If Mercy was suboptimal, he doesn't care. He's going to play Mercy because he thinks Mercy has nice feet, and that's why he wants to play Mercy. Then you have player B. Player B is going to join team chat. He's going to try and coordinate his team. He wants to be the very best. He wants to coordinate. He wants to play a proper game of Ranked, a serious game of Ranked, and that is that for him. Then you have player C. And player C just wants to play his own game of Overwatch. He doesn't want to deal with tilters, he doesn't want to deal with people getting angry at him, so he leaves voice chat, leaves team chat instantly, and just locks in a relatively sensible hero pick. Maybe not 100% in line with the team, but it's what he can play, and so he locks that in. Then you have player D, who wants everyone to be looking up what's in the meta, and will start throwing if people don't pick the exact comps that the Korean teams are using at the moment. Therefore, they are playing suboptimally. Therefore, why the hell are you throwing? I'm going to pick Symmetra and jump off the map 5 times. Then you have player E. Player E is going to pick, he wants to play a tank, but the tanks are locked in, so he has to pick a support. So he picks a support that's maybe not hugely in the meta, but it's the one that he can play, so that's what he picks. And then you have player F, who just wanted to have a good time and just, you know, he's feeling in a bit of a silly mood, so he's going to play Hanzo. He's played Hanzo a couple of times. It's gone well for him. He's just going to try it out, and he's just going to see how it goes. And you could probably already see as we sort of broken down these guys, and I'm not going to put them all up on the screen for you, like a good YouTuber was, because Coffee Time's meant to be low maintenance. But you can already see, you can already imagine, like, these plays. You have some that really want to go to the meta, you have some that just want to have some fun, you have some that really want to, that just want to do their own thing. And you have some that will even try and hold the game to ransom, for example. Now, some of these behaviors are clearly unacceptable, right? Like, the idea of holding the game to ransom, like, you must pick this or I will stop playing. Like, that is outright reportable, that is outright unacceptable. It's pretty easy to sort of understand that that is not a conductive or healthy behavior. That is not really going to get anything done. That's just going to cause more problems for everyone rather than just playing the damn game. But then you also have the inverse as well, of the people who will start throwing if people don't pick meta. So it's like, well, if they're not going to play seriously, then I'm not going to play seriously. So because you've decided to pick Symmetra, and this isn't a Symmetra optimal, well, actually not even Symmetra, just because you decided to pick Mei, for example, and oh, why are you playing Mei? Oh my god, you're playing Mei. Okay, I'm going to pick Hanzo and start throwing. And then you have the inflexibles. You know, I use Mercy here because Mercy is one of the most mained heroes, but it could easily be Hanzo. Why is it always Hanzo? It's always bloody Hanzo. Hanzo, Junkrat, for example, you know, it's these people that go in and they will just play this single hero every single time. And they will not swap for hell or high water unless someone else takes their hero away, in which case they'll start throwing, usually. Or start bitching out at the team, start getting angry at the team. I've had people do this before. I had a game the other day where someone wanted to play Junkrat, apparently. Someone else took the Junkrat away from them. They picked Hanzo, stood in spawn. They picked Hanzo, stood in the spawn door, and started firing arrows into the floor non-stop because they wanted to play Junkrat. And everyone just said, well, why didn't you go into quick play and play Junkrat there? Like, if it's so important to you to play Junkrat, there are game modes for that. You can go and play FFA, you can go and play quick play. But he just didn't have an answer for that. He says, no, I want to play Junkrat. And that's that. Again, very clearly unhealthy. But it all comes from this idea that these people will not be punished. And it all comes from this idea that these people, you know, that they can just log into Ranked and they can do this and they can get away with it. Because what's Blizzard going to do? Blizzard isn't going to ban them. Blizzard isn't going to ban them for just wanting to play the hero they want to play. Blizzard isn't going to do that. Blizzard isn't going to do anything, apparently. And this is why I feel Blizzard need to, A, make a statement about, you know, the idea of one tricks, for example. They need to make a statement on the idea of, oh, well, if you want to play this single hero over and over again, Ranked is not for you. Like, they need to make that statement, or they need to say that it's okay, it's fine to do that, and that they're okay with doing that. They need to have something in place. If they do come out and say that's okay, by the way, Ranked is going to be a complete mess, so I really hope they don't come out and say, oh yeah, no, it's fine if you just want to pick Hanzo every single game in Ranked. I somehow doubt that they will. The other side of the coin is this, which is the fact that you have, you know, you could have that statement, but then there's the issue of the skill-based skill rating system. Whether the MMR should be skill-based or should be just based on win-loss. And so the current prevailing theory, because Blizzard don't really release much information on how matchmaking works, aside from a couple of small details here and there, but people still kind of, you know, they go into the back, they look at the API, they look at all the data coming out and go, hang on, this isn't right. For example, this Mercy player is on a 47% win rate, but is still climbing pretty consistently and pretty quickly. So something's wrong there, right? And you can see that people still do climb with a sub 50% win rate. Like, this still happens. And the general prevailing thought is this, that the skill-based matchmaking system, or the skill-based SR system, there's no easy way to say it. I'm sure there's an acronym you can use, SBSR. SBSR. The SBSR system. That works. I like that. SBSR works by, if you play one hero over and over again and you play it better than most people, or most people at that level, then you will still climb. So the idea is that if I played Widowmaker, for example, in Platinum, and I was, you know, more accurate than most Widowmakers in Platinum, I was getting more eliminations than most Widowmakers in Platinum, I was getting more damage done than most Widowmakers in Platinum, and my stats looked more like a Masters level Widowmaker, then it was try and push me towards Masters. Even though my win rate might not be 50%, it will still try and shove me towards Masters. Now, the issue there is when you start getting heroes that don't get played often, and don't often have peers at certain levels. And this especially happens at Masters and Grandmasters level, where, for example, the number of Mei players is going to be tiny, the number of Symmetras is going to be pretty small. These are already very small divisions of the player base, so when you start getting into an even smaller and even more niche division of the player base, these people are still going to climb. This used to be really abusable. I think they toned down on the system, but it still exists in a form, and if you get really good at this one hero, then it's easy for you to exploit that system and still climb and still sort of hold on, even though in theory, because you're inflexible, because you don't communicate, because you rage out when you don't get what you want like a small child, yeah, you still climb, you still sort of bob along at these higher ranks. For me, it comes down to this. The debate is simple. The debate is very, very simple for me. Which is, you can get bogged down, you can get tied down in details, you know, is it up to Blizzard to enforce the meta, for example? Can Blizzard punish you for picking an incorrect hero? That kind of idea, that kind of talk. But to me, that's taking the debate in a different direction, where, for example, if you are playing Mei and you are losing consistently, and you are losing repeatedly, and your team is saying, hey, do you mind swapping? Hey, do you mind switching? Hey, would you mind playing something else that suits our team comp more? And you still do not switch, it is to me a problem that you are still in the game at that point. If you just want to go and play Mei, go and play quick play. If you want to actually win the game, you go and play ranked. And it's that very clear sort of division. Because at the end of the day, it all boils down to this one singular important point. Is the game fun? is everyone having a relatively good time. You know, no one really enjoys losing. I remember when Blizzard used to have a rateless game feature, and like universally people who lost would rate it negatively and people who won would usually rate it more positively, for example. So there's very clear correlation with that kind of stuff. But the idea is, that are people still having fun, or are they just raging at each other because the guy who picked Hanzo and isn't swapping off it ever is not doing anything, and therefore you lose because the enemy team just picked Winston and keeps jumping on him. It's all that kind of stuff. And I really do think that Blizzard are going to run into a problem. I think Overwatch, like, its game state right now, especially with the Mercy nerfs just going in, the game state of Overwatch is probably at one of the healthiest it's ever been. It's probably one of the best it's ever been. There's more viable comps, there's more viable playstyles, there's more viable heroes than there ever really has been. The game feels like fun, it's fast, it's quick. It's just the player base is steadily getting worse and worse and worse and worse, because you have all these people with all these different ideas about what ranked is and what ranked works for and what's acceptable in ranked, and there's just no enforcement of, no, this is the line, this is where it isn't acceptable. And it feels so hands-off at the moment that people are just getting away with everything, and that every game now feels a bit like a lottery. And that's frustrating. Now, don't get me wrong, I really do enjoy this game. I'm just worried. I'm worried because it's starting to hit the point for me where starting to play a night of ranked has that moment of like, oh god, here we go again. And if that's happening to me, and I'm one of the most patient people, I've been following this game for absolutely ages, and if that's happening to me, it's going to be happening to other people. It's going to be happening to other people a lot faster. I guarantee you a whole heap of people have already stopped playing because ranked just wasn't entertaining for them. Ranked just became this mess, became this constant argument, this constant battle about what's acceptable and what isn't. And it's all good and well. It's all good and well for Jeff Kaplan to come out and say, hey guys, you know, us working on moderation and working on these systems for reports and stuff like that is taking time away on working on other things. My response to that is simple. If Blizzard don't work on these systems, they don't work on this moderation system, they don't work on reporting systems, they don't work on getting feedback for reports, they don't work on incentivizing positive behavior and punishing toxic behavior very heavily, it doesn't matter how many cool things they make down the line, because the fundamental truth is this: they're going to run out of players. They're going to run out of players taking the game seriously. They're going to see what probably they're seeing already, but just in a more diminished sense, where every single time they run an event, there's a spike of players, they come in, get a bunch of loot boxes, and then stop playing. And the serious player base starts dying off and off and off and off, which then has bad knock-on effects because you have no serious player base, which means the Overwatch League is going to be weakened. No one's really going to be interested in what the pinnacle of Overwatch looks like if people aren't playing ranked and aren't invested in playing to the highest levels that they can do, and so that investment starts going down, and so on and so on and so on and so on and so on. So my response to Jeff at this point is positive mental attitude. It had like a meme ripple. It had an effect for a little while, but it's still not enough. It's nowhere near enough. This is the biggest issue facing Overwatch at the moment. Not really a dearth of content, not really an issue with content, but you're going to see a burnout. You're going to see a burnout happening to several people. I already get comments constantly in chat of, oh yeah, I haven't done my Season 6 placements because I just can't be bothered with competitive anymore. I don't really play that much Overwatch these days. I just watch you guys play it, and I see reasons when I'm watching you stream for why I shouldn't play Overwatch, because I see you constantly dealing with these problems. I see you constantly trying to negotiate with people not to throw the game just because someone picked this hero, or constantly negotiate with the guy who will only pick this hero and therefore won't align with your team comp and therefore is losing you the game. Like I said, this coffee time is a serious one. This coffee time is like a big talk, and it sounds very doom and gloom. The positive is this, and like I mentioned earlier, Overwatch is in a very healthy position in terms of game state at the moment, I would say. Not every hero is viable, of course, not everything is fixed up, not everything is perfect, but it's definitely better than it has been for a long while. There's no like one pervading team comp aside from Mercy. It's still pretty flexible, and with the new patch coming in, with the Mercy changes coming in, that could even change. Otherwise, thank you for watching all the way to the end. I'm sure you have thoughts on this. I'm sure you have thoughts on whether rank is a right or a privilege, or whether where the line is, I suppose. Should Blizzard enforce if people just like one trick a specific hero, if people play only one hero, should they enforce bans on these people or start taking away their privileges? Should they enforce you to be flexible? Should they enforce you should they enforce you to be able to play how you want? Do you have the pervading belief that, hey, I paid the same price that everyone else paid, therefore I should be able to do what I want? No, you shouldn't. But otherwise, yeah. Actually, let me address that argument. Let me address that argument because it's hilarious to me. Let's say that you go to the zoo, right, and you pay the same ticket price as everyone else to go into the zoo. Do you then have the right to go and pull down your trousers and go whap the tiger in the face with your willy? No, you don't. There's certain rules and there's certain social etiquette and there's certain there's certain things you can do and you can't do that is sort of agreed upon when you have that price of purchase. You can't then go into Overwatch and then ruin other people's time just because you paid price for it. Like, that's not how it works. You can't go to the theatre, for example, and start treating everything like it's a pantomime. No, Hamlet, he's behind you. Polonius is behind the curtain, Hamlet. Ah, don't stab him, no. Like, you can't do that. That's not allowed. Okay? You get kicked out if you do that. It's the same thing in Overwatch. If you go and ruin other people's time, you get kicked out. Anyway, thank you guys for watching to the end. That was an outro. I'm sure it was. My name's Josh. That's one amongst many. Let me know you guys' thoughts on this topic. I'm sure you have several. Thank you for watching to the end. Toodles.